They want to have this process under their terms. They want to be able to say in the future that they did go through a consultation process. A consultation requires listening, not just hearing.
There were a few impassioned pleas to go with ASRI in terms of meeting the demand for housing and the number of people, I guess, that are being turned away who are frustrated by the lack of accommodation and the very high rents. Do you have any sympathy with those calls? I mean,
I'm quite sure that there is a shortage of housing in this town, but I think that we need to look further than that, just the surface. We need to find out and question why we have this shortage. We have lost 400 beds with Malanka. We have had over the last 10, 15 years a lot of public housing sold off to private individuals. We haven't had that investment go back into social housing. Sure, we have a housing shortage, but we need to look at why we have a housing shortage. We're also in the middle of a very extensive SIHIP program, and where a lot of workers are coming in from down south. They come here to do work and they can't find a home. That's a temporary demand, which when these people leave will disappear, and we may end up, if we try to cater for them now, with a surplus of housing, and that will affect prices across the whole town.
I mean, you said that you think we could accommodate 2 or 3 times the number of people within the existing footprint of the town. How would that work, and also in a way that wouldn't duplicate or do what you've just described?
The town of Alice Springs is very low density, spread out over quite a wide area. The footprint is actually quite big for a town of this size. There is a lot of opportunity for infill, for increasing housing densities, particularly around neighbourhood shopping centres, to create nodes. We could provide all of the housing that is being proposed, the new households proposed for ASRI, we could provide all of those within 2 or 3 of our shopping centres in the CBD
How would you get that
area.
How would you get that started, Dominic?
I think it has to be started by government reinvesting social housing around those nodes. Once it reaches a certain like a critical mass, it would then, I think, private enterprise would jump in and try to build medium density housing as well. We're not talking about flats here. I'm not talking about the awful flats that have been built around this town for the last 20, 25 years. Talking about well-designed, very sensitive medium density housing, and not even medium density. I mean, we're looking at about 8 units to a normal block, an 8-fold increase in the housing capacity of our existing blocks.
So it's a bit of a return to previous government housing policies that used to exist in this town when the Housing Commission did play a much more prominent role that you're talking about.
I think that affordable housing is the role of government. It's something that can't be privatised. Private enterprise is not interested in providing low-cost housing. It's not the area that they want to be involved in. I think that the town as a whole has to look at how it can become more efficient, not only in water use but in energy use as well, reducing the dependence on vehicles, reducing the expense of fuel to run those vehicles. We need to make this town more affordable. When people talk about housing affordability, they're only looking at one small aspect of affordability. Affordability for the whole town. What does it cost to live in this town? If I've got to pay an extra $600 a year for my petrol costs, I'm not going to go out to restaurants as much. I'm not going to go and take tours. I'm not going to spend my money somewhere else in town. It affects the local economy greatly if we are an expensive place to live in.
You weren't able to get up a vote on a moratorium on ASRI. Where do you go next? Where does Fab Alice go next with this situation?
Coalition Fab Alice may have to hold its own public meeting and pass such a motion. I don't think that we need to have to go through that process. The sentiment in that room was one that supported a halt and a thinking about where we're heading and a reassessment based on facts, not on gut feeling. And I think that was completely ignored by this forum.